Idol fans inspire me. Surprised? You shouldn't be. So at the very base of idol culture, I think there's this desire to support. The very obvious one being support your member or your group. But what most people don't ever see, and this is because they've never been around the culture long enough to notice it, is this incredible organic system of support that develops among fans. So let me start out by showing you a picture of how typically a live would be set out. Now here's the stage, and here's where the fans would be. This is what I like to call the prime spot. This is where most of the action is going to occur. Then you have these areas off to the side for those wanting a more toned down experience. Sometimes you'll have a little portion sectioned off to the side for the females so they don't get trampled on or sweat on. So there's this general rule that you get the better viewing area / prime spot when it's the turn of the group that you're supporting. So there will be this constant shift in and out of people in between performances. And at the end of one group's turn, they'll make kind of this announcement and say, thank you for today, thank you for letting us use this space, and everybody will clap and the next group's fans will shuffle in. Now during the performance, you'll have similar things going on too. Like you'll have more experienced fans pushing others forward. This is in part to give them a better view, but it's also to give them a chance to show their support for their member and to kind of break down the dauntingness of being in the forefront where everybody can see you. It's weird. It has kind of this very middle school feel, like, hey, go talk to that girl. And I've tried to do the same for some of my American friends, and they're super put off by it. Like I'm forcing them to do something unnatural. But I think in Japan, it's a totally normal thing. It's like, oh, I don't actually want to get pushed up here and do this, but my friend's making me, so it's not my fault if I make myself look like a fool. And sometimes they do. But it's all okay because everybody laughs, everyone pats them on the back, and everybody just goes back to having fun. It's this very odd, organic thing that happens at shows. And it's something I've really begun to love because at its very core, I think it's encouragement. It seems like idol fans are always pushing each other to take the next step forward into a new and foreign environment. It starts by going to live shows, and then you're meeting new people, and then you're going out with friends to further venues. And then next thing you know, you're suddenly traveling out to different countries to follow your group. And I've also noticed that there's like this mentorship system in place where members who have been around longer will really take care of you. They'll show you the ropes. They'll introduce you to people in the group. It's like this Jedi Padawan situation. Like, for example, when I go to Japan, my mentors will usually buy me lunch. They'll help me with finding out the schedule or reading through some Japanese sites to help me reserve a ticket. They'll give me CDs. I mean, people always complain about how idol fans buy hordes of CDs. But again, they never see what happens to them. There's this word of mouth system where, like, new fans who come along, a lot of times the long-term fans will just hand them a bunch of old CDs. And quite often they're CDs that you can't buy anymore. And I think I've mentioned this before about how when you're a fan of the group, it's like you're instantly part of the club. And it really is. There's like almost no discrimination. And it doesn't matter if you're young or old, male or female, if you're a student or an office worker, if you're heavy set or skinny, if you're attractive or kind of dorky looking, if you're rich or poor, if you're Japanese or foreign. Like, the only requirement is that you support the group. Now, I don't want to paint this picture like idol fans are some perfect race of people. I think there are plenty of bad idol fans, and maybe I've just been really lucky to meet the really good ones. But I think it's also because I feel like I've tried to be respectful and follow what's already been set in place. So I think there are certain people who have taken notice and have been really welcoming to me. And this is something important to me that I want to keep going. Because when I think about it, idol fans are just a bunch of nerds. I think this goes a lot for Japan too, but we weren't all a bunch of cool kids growing up. And I think there was quite a bit of awkwardness and growing pains we all experienced. But now there's a place where you can be with your peers and part of a group. If you're feeling adventurous, you can run to the front and have your moment in the spotlight, and people will support you for it. At the end of the day, Idol fans are unabashedly themselves. They're nerds doing nerd shit. And however uncool that makes them look in the public eye, they've kind of come to terms with it. Or at least they're coming to terms with it. I think they're pretty honest with themselves about what they are and what they aren't. They don't try to pretend to be someone else or live by what others might expect of them. Even if they're being pointed at or laughed at, even if they're being ridiculed, even if people don't understand, they're going to go out there and have a great time in their own little world. And I find that inspiring. Next week, I talk about why Japan is in love with schoolgirls. What the hell is why is my shirt so yellow?